to start out. I'm Chris. I've known Larry for 34, I don't know exactly how long.
Well, I knew 37.
37, so
I did actually had to do the math.
yeah, and I'm terrible with math and terrible with memory, so I don't, when things happen, so anyway, known him for a long time. I've known him for a long time. I received a message on Facebook from a Facebook friend of Larry's, who never met him in person, grew up in his hometown, went to high school at the same school but never knew him, and met him when she lived in Texas, and, but not personally. And she sent me a message for me to read and asked me if I would read it on her behalf. So that's what I'm going to do. And I want to encourage everyone, and I will talk to some of you individually about saying something, but please, anybody, in fact, there's not that many of us, so I would like for everybody, if they can, feels like nobody's forcing anybody, but if you want to speak it up. I think I'll ask Dave to speak after me. There's going to be, as you see in the program, talking and then music, and then talking and then music, and so we'll probably do a couple of people and then have some music. So I'm going to read, this is from Karen Meinhardt. I love technology. I never met Larry in real life, although we lived in the same town growing up and went to the same high school and the same college. We never met. I'm 57, Larry was older. We became acquainted online. Don't remember why, college maybe, or a friend in common. Nevertheless, we became friends. I lived in Texas then. I was halfway between Waco and Bryan College Station. I learned later that he was a very close neighbor of my cousins Cindy and Bradley Nicholson. I liked Larry's sense of humor. His comments about surgery and testicular replacement are funny and touching at the same time. He also had names for the AA meetings, always made me smile. Larry's way of dealing with life with humor is what I will remember the most. I hope I never forget that lesson. I know his life was not all a load of laughs. He was an alcoholic, he didn't hide it. When he relapsed last year, I tried to be a cheerleader for him. After everything he had gone through, hurricane, flooding of the building, moving, his beloved dog dying, needing to move again, it was something a human could control that was the last straw. Not getting the apartment he wanted, or thinking he didn't get it. He did. Amazing. I admired him, even more. He got back on the wagon. Last winter, he came to Butler to visit his mother. Our schedules and the weather didn't permit us to meet up. This is a great loss in my life. I will always wish we had met. I was surprised to learn from him that he was HIV positive for 35 years. My God, what he must have lived through. From the early days of people afraid to be anywhere near someone with HIV, or even use anything they touched, to the end when he was cared for in a hospice for people with HIV and AIDS. He was a survivor. He lived. Though those who knew him for years know he lived a full and at times dangerous life. Good. And few pictures survived because we didn't have cell phones. I asked if I could send this letter to the celebration of Larry's life, because he mattered to me. He is one of the unforgettable people in my life. I'm richer for having him in my life, even if it was only online. Is your life richer too? I hope so. God bless you, Larry, and thank you for being you. Love always, Karen Meinhardt, Butler, Pennsylvania.
It's beautiful. So good afternoon. My name is David, and I'm an alcoholic. In AA meetings, that's how we introduce ourselves. So, God, what a touching letter from somebody who never even met Larry. This has got me thinking about, I've only known Larry, I guess, about 14 years. And I remember when he lived over in the little apartment over off of Taft. When he had another dog, it was a black dog, I'm thinking, wasn't it?
It's a black lab. I can't remember the dog's name.
You know, he was, Larry always had a problem staying sober, I'm here to tell you that. But we had a close-knit circle of friends that we all kind of hung out together. And just because he couldn't stay sober all the time didn't mean he wasn't trying. And there's a bond that we have in people in recovery that it's different than the bond of family, biological family. It's different than your friends. It's a bond that we all share in recovery of sharing a common disease that, of course, none of us asked for, but we still have it. And we found a way to keep it in submission or in remission, as long as we do some simple things. And there were times when I worked with Larry a lot. We ate a lot together and things, but there are times when some of us aren't willing to do the things it takes. And so it's no judgment here. It's just, you talk about Larry relapsing and things. But I worked at some of the recovery steps with Larry, a lot of them, and we talked a lot about his feelings, not so much about the things that made him drink, or just the things that made him who he is, I guess. And I was especially thinking earlier today about the last few weeks that he was here with us, and I think it was about 4 days before he passed that he asked me. You know, Larry was not one. He was very hesitant to ask for help, and he called me one day and said, "I have some things at my apartment." He'd already moved into Omega. And he said, "I have some things in my apartment I'd like to move over there." And I said, "Well, I'd be happy to help you." So I came by and picked him up over here. And we went out to that apartment out in West Houston. And we spent probably an hour and a half in there, in that place. And he was boxing up things and putting things up. I can't remember what all he took, but it took me about 5 or 6 trips to the car to get all this stuff out there. And in my mind, I was thinking, what are you gonna do with all this stuff? You know, in that little bitty room that you're in. I didn't say that out loud. I just, if that's what he wanted, that's what we're gonna do. And we got over to Omega with all this car full of stuff. And one of the I don't know if they're nurses or whoever that works there, she saw us unloading all this stuff. "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I need this stuff with me." So I'm really happy that he was able to have those special sentimental things with him those last few days of his life. And it's no harm to anybody else. And Larry was such a friendly guy. I make terrible jokes, and he loved my terrible jokes. And so that was one of the things we shared together. Lots of laughs. Shared some of the hard parts. He suffered a lot. He had a lot of pain, and we shared that together as well. Not always face to face. Sometimes over the phone. Sometimes texting. But we stayed in contact almost continuously for those 14 years, one way or another. And I'm glad to meet some of Larry's friends and family. And he'll always be with us. Thanks.
Thank you.
The next song we're going to do is about someone who's walking along and they hear an old fisherman singing about a place that they go when they pass on. It's, I guess, sort of a fisherman's heaven, if you will, their idea of heaven.